Everybody will be with you in just a moment. Hey there, everyone. Getting a little late start here. Hang in with us.
thought we were going to have 235.
That. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Sorry for the delay in getting started here, as always. A few audio problems, that type of stuff. But I'm trying something new, preparing for next week's big interview. Anyway, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here on the DYOR Media Network. We're here with DYOR Live. It's August 31st, 2023, and we're going to dispense with the business today and of introducing you to everything that's going on in our world, and we're just going to get right to the topic. Bitcoin. Pedro, are you there with me?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got Pedro, the crypto chart analyst here. Once again, everything he says is not financial advice. It's only for entertainment and educational value. He's not telling you what to buy or sell. He's just telling you what the charts seem to be saying to him as he looks at them. But ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin's been all in the news lately. The ETF, the Grayscale ruling from the courts, setting the SEC back a little bit, as they said yesterday. The SEC and Gensler took one in the teeth. For us, a good thing. I'm speaking metaphorically now, but anyway, we got that going on. People are talking about the bear market kind of ending. We got the halving coming up. We got all kinds of stuff coming up that people are just gushing about Bitcoin. Even Binance adopting the Lightning Network is very bullish for Bitcoin as more people come into this ecosphere and use it. But, Pedro, it's not what the charts are telling us, is it?
Yes, sir.
The charts are telling us something
else. It is not.
We covered a little yesterday. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I was actually talking with one of my friends. He interned for Goldman Sachs. He was the youngest VP in Bank of America down in Miami. And so he was excited too. He's like, man, dude, I think he's announcing everything that you said. And I said, the only problem is the charts isn't telling me that. And he's just like, what do you mean? And I go, well, I think it's a rope-a-dope. And so, again, I don't want to make sure we understand this. This is a rope-a-dope. When Muhammad Ali would go around the ring, right? And he would get everybody to come in and come out, or he would go around the ring and he would just exhaust his opponents to a point where they were like, they couldn't. By the 8th round, 9th round, they were exhausted. They couldn't even. Once he saw that they couldn't keep up their arms anymore, that man came in like a thunderbolt and just started wailing on his opponents. That's what made him some of the greats. It was psychological with him. Fighting was psychological. It's what made him amazing. And in the same sense, this is what's kind of I feel is going on. Again, educational and entertainment purposes only. But to me,
absolutely,
when we look at the chart here, okay, you guys will be able to sit there, and this is pretty easy. I always tell you, check out the volume, check out the volume, check out the volume. We can see here that the volume of this day was down. We can see we had quite a bit of volume. Now, this is when the news of the ETF was taken care of by what was the it was on Grayscale. It was on Tuesday. This was the explosion of that. Now, I would expect, first of all, more volume. Okay, look at the volume. It's half of the volume of the sell-off on August 17th. If it was really exploding, we would have seen at least, volume coming up at these levels that are ridiculous. We should have seen. Off this level here, I believe the volume of this was 4,900 and 4,957 Bitcoin were sold off. So I would assume they would have came in and bought up at least twice as much, right? At least 10,000 Bitcoin should have been bought. Right. And look, it's not even. It's half. So it's one of those things that I'm just like, if we're really moving. Now, I'm going to jump to a higher time frame. The higher time frame screams to me, again, we have these higher time frame moving averages coming in. If today we fall below, and I think they're going to try to push it low. I think we're going to try to get below that 50-period moving average. So it all kind of depends on today. What are they planning today? We've got some major news coming out. We have the U.S. American job reports. Our economy is actually even stronger than what they thought. Powell's going to have to raise rates again, just absolutely.
Right. I don't think the
because
rate is
we
rate
had
increase is over yet.
oh no. He can't just say, hey, I heard one economist say if we were really going to balance everything, right? We need a rate high as 10%, right?
Ooh.
And we need to be there for about 10 years to really balance everything out
10 years
with
at
all
10%.
the money that was put. Yes. Dude, look at the 70s. Look at the 70s.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we had 16, 17, 18.
You know, and then
mortgages too.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, and that's what they were back in the 70s, right? Like, we had very similar, even though, it's not as bad, or some people believe it's even worse. They call it the silent depression, where they, like, if you look at the adjusted for inflation, okay, from the 1930s to today, people are making less money than they were in the 1930s. We have higher inflation than the 1930s during the Great Depression. Like, when you look at all adjusted for inflation, wages, everything, we're worse off.
That's not good.
Right
not
now.
good at all.
And we're just starting the pain. I mean, we just saw what was happening with BRIC, and I know you discredit the BRIC, but the BRIC, this is an important thing. They had the big meeting. Yes, China, I'll put it like this. China's debt issue that we saw with, what is it? The country, why am I forgetting what it's called? They just, wow.
Which project?
Just give everybody a heads up. Huh?
China and which project that they were financing?
I'm talking about how, so their whole entire economy is based off of real estate. The real estate,
right. 30%
there's
of
two
their
primary
GDP is real estate.
Yeah, literally. So it's crazy. The backside behind there are two primary companies, right? The one that just fell apart a couple months ago. Good Lord.
I'll never be able to remember the company's name.
I'm just giving everybody a heads up. I'm in major pain right now. I actually slammed my finger, and so I'm trying to push through it. I hate pain. So, China's real estate. Oh dear Lord, I can't even think. The reason Grayscale. Yes, it's a tough day. Whatever, I'm gonna get over this. It's just a lot of pain right now. So I can't think completely straight right now to remember everything at the top of my brain receptors are going we're trying to handle this, and you're trying to talk about this. Nah. So but Evergrande and Evergrande fell apart.
Yeah,
and there's another one. Yeah, it's Evergrande, and then there's another one that just came out and talking about they're having problems, and it's just going crazy. We're seeing China lower interest rates, right? While America's increasing interest rates. If they lower interest rates, what happens? That makes money for business cheap, right? So people can borrow money and continue moving, right? So China's heading in the same type of direction as we are, right? In the fact that they were lowering interest rates. The reason why I bring this up is because even in the midst of China's craziness, okay, we see, and this is important to understand, the BRIC nations moving forward. We're seeing other countries, again, they just brought on United Arab Emirates. They brought on Saudi Arabia. They brought in Egypt. You're seeing a lot of money, oil money, come into this. And so, again, this is showing the people no, I think personally the majority of the people who have money in Bitcoin are Americans. Like you have
That's true.
China that has a lot of it, and then you have a lot of Americans that have it. Okay, and so I believe what's actually happening is that the banksters are going through and they're trying to scare Americans. I brought this up yesterday that I truly see at one point in time. Now it's a good thing that the um, the network here for Bitcoin is trustless and you can't see people. It's anonymous in a sense, right? And so, especially a lot of the people who got in all the way down in here at the 5,000 as well as the 500, 100 mark are still holding. And this was before you could really find out who they were, right? So all this right here is real simple to be able to gauge who's sitting right here. They're trying to get them to sell off. So I personally think sooner or later the U.S. government's going to say, because they're going to need the financial support, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, you know what I'm saying? You're going to see this stuff needed for the U.S. economy to get moving again. And I think they're going to confiscate. I think it's going to eminent domain situation, and they're going to push the market down. I think they're going to see a sell-off. I don't think America is going to go through and get rid of their personal, when I say America, I don't mean Americans, but I mean the government. They're the largest holder of Bitcoin. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. So
no, they would
it's
be
just
unwise
really interesting.
to get rid of it. Could solve the budget problem one day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually quite surprised they don't dedicate Fort Meade to mining this stuff. You know, have a couple of supercomputers going at it for a couple of weeks and just own the mining pool for a couple of months to force the other miners out.
Dude, I bet you 100. I mean, we don't know this, right? I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked if the CIA and we saw the
conspiracy time.
No, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, we've seen a lot of this stuff where, you know, now they come through and you can go through and see that they've, you know, released a lot of stuff 50 years out, and we're like, holy crap, they were the ones behind this, right? So the idea behind that they don't have mining, I mean, they have a lot of money coming in. I bet you, man, they are mining Bitcoin. I wouldn't be shocked. You know, like, they're going through and they're mining it. I knew if I had the money, I would, right? If I had that type of cash, setting up mining, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like they're paying for the electrical
or
system.
A couple of giant supercomputers.
I mean, it's tax dollars. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's an interesting thing. But I sit there and say this like this. Even in the midst of all of China's craziness, right, we're still seeing countries come on the BRIC nations. So I don't see us going through and, you know, I can't see Bitcoin holding up right now. I think they want to buy in at a lower rate.
All right, let's add another little twist into the Bitcoin theory of it needs a lot to you know, if you think about it, we've discussed this on the show before. If you think about it, in order for Bitcoin to go from it's at what 25,000 right now, something like that, it needs to go to 50,000. It needs to double its market cap. Bitcoin is fairly linear in its price to market cap type stuff, and that means it needs to double the amount of money going into it. So it needs 350, 400 billion, whatever the market cap is. It needs an additional amount of that. And we know that money's there. The investment companies have it. You know, if the retail world gets together, that money can flow into it pretty easily. But there are other things to invest in. You know, some people are arguing that Ethereum is the Bitcoin killer, and not the fact that because it's better or more adoption or anything like that. There's a good thought process that, you know, all the money flowing into Ethereum should have been the Bitcoin maxis like, well, that should all have been our project because we were first. And Ethereum is taking, you know, some of the shine away from Bitcoin. And, you know, that $400,000 or $400 billion, you know, could go into Bitcoin. I mean, it was revealed yesterday. Robinhood has a wallet of Ethereum. It's worth like a gajillion dollars or something, like, you know, some crazy amount of billions of dollars. And if that money, if Ethereum wasn't capturing that, and for that matter, you know, a lot of the other top 10 cryptos, the Bitcoin would really explode. And that would make the Bitcoin maxis happy and push more adoption and drive the world absolutely crazy. And so, what's your thought process on, you know, on the money coming into Ethereum? Is it holding back Bitcoin, you think, or is that those two types of traders? I guess what I'm trying to say is, are they the same people investing in both, or are they two camps?
Yes, that's what I think. It's the same people, because here's the thing: when institutions get involved, institutions don't just buy one single thing. They buy a conglomerate of they don't, you know, they are risk averse, right? So their point is that they want to sit there, and if they're going to win, excuse me, not if, but they're purchasing just as much of Ethereum, Bitcoin. They have wallets buying XRP. They have people buying Solana, Doge, like all the top 10, 15, 20. They're already buying. Like they have algorithms that are going in that are buying so that they can get the actual everything. It's not one. I mean, they buy in baskets, right? If you look at, because it's smarter for them. And the reason why that is if you look at, let's say, the commodities, right? Because I believe that the cryptocurrency will be considered all commodities. They'll sit there and look at them. You know, there might be some that might be securities, but the majority of cryptos are going to be commodities. And so when you look at the commodities being traded, the first thing that opens up is gold, or copper. Copper goes up. Then when you see gold come in with the bonds and with the currencies, right? Then you see that explode. And then you'll see it sell off as silver comes in, right? Then the energies come in, and you have crude oil. So you have this balance of back and forth where you see a sell-off, because what they're doing is they're adding in, and so then they sell off because they make their money for the day. But what they're doing is they do a cycle rotation throughout all the commodities every single day. Buying more, selling off good ones where they made profits, and going into the lower ones, right? It's the same thing that's going to happen here. And so they need to actually have a basket of these to be able to do that at a low rate. And I believe that's what we're seeing is just simply, I don't think that the institutions are going to just focus on one or another. They're going to focus on multiple fronts to be able to mitigate the risk that you have the huge the V word, volatility. My brain is like the volatility that comes in, so they can gauge both. Now, as of right now, we see them play hand in hand. But remember, during the not the halving, when Ethereum switched, what was that called? The merge. You saw a disconnection between the correlation between Bitcoin and Ethereum. But right when that happened, after it happened, I was watching the actual orders on the futures for Ethereum. Literally, I actually was on the show with Bankless. On their type, I was typing in saying, because I wasn't on it, but I was literally typing in the comment section saying, guys, there's literally shorts coming in. I'm watching them come in the futures market. You can sit there and see them coming in. They started putting them in, right? They would go up, and you would see an overwhelming side of shorts or sellers coming in. And so I was basically, it was on my show. I'm sitting there, like, you can hear me talking, going, and I was showing my screen, explaining what was actually going on. And so it was pretty obvious. And all of a sudden, the next day or two, you saw the huge sell-off come in, right? So in the same sense, unless there is something like that happening, where, let's say, Solana comes up with a new thing and they got to do a merge or something like that, or you see, Matic with something else similar to that, right? You'll see a divergence But then sooner or later it'll come back and you'll see some type of correlation, whereas one starts to go up and before one goes up, one goes down. Look at the idea behind the Lightning Network versus Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin will be stagnant first, right? And then and same thing with BNB, right? But then as the Lightning Network starts to move one way or another, you can also see then a correlation where those start to move then, right? So it's like it's just this idea of a cyclical rotation of money coming in, our investors coming in and out and taking profit and then buying it at low cost with other ones. So that's my view. That's what we'll see. But I could be wrong. I would love to know what Caitlin thinks about when she's coming up with her BTC BTC ETF, and how they do their investing.
All right. Well,
can you hear me?
Like I said, we didn't have a long show today. I have a top of the hour hard freeze, but the topics I did want to talk with you about, Pedro, were these topics about splitting up the market with Bitcoin, kind of getting that concept of are people investing in both, or are the Ethereum maxis draining away the liquidity from Bitcoin? I shouldn't say draining the liquidity from Bitcoin, but just not adding where it could go. And of course, I did listen to Caitlin Long talk on another podcast yesterday about how the pattern kind of, when you look at the things more broadly for Bitcoin, the pattern is somewhat following the right before the last halving. And I don't know that exactly. I'll leave that up to you to figure out. But she was telling that how it's building up in the same way, and she feels it's going to be a similar pattern after it, which after the halving, the miners will be earning less. Some will go out of business and liquidate, and they will have to sell their Bitcoin, which causes a drop in the price. And then as that stables out and consolidation happens, then there's like a J turn and an upturn where it starts to then really go again. So she says we're following that same pattern and setting up for that. So I personally don't think that can happen. I think it's too much money that needs to come into the market at once. But, if there's more adoption and all that, then there's more adoption.
I totally think that can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm
okay,
here.
So here's a question, though. The institutions are they need volume. And so if we get closer and closer to the halving, I don't think that they're going to play it the same way. Just like we saw in 2008 with gold and crude oil, right? Where they were stagnant at one point in time because literally Goldman Sachs was taking the other end of that, where it should have been going up, and so people were buying, and they were on the other end, literally shorting that side. And then all of a sudden, it changed everything because people are like, they saw like somebody was taking the other end, right? And then it sold off. People stopped buying and said, well, this is silly because it's not moving. And so then what happened? When that happened, Goldman Sachs goes in and puts major shorts in. And then all of a sudden it sold off and you saw this huge drop, right? And we're talking, and then all of a sudden the word gets out, Goldman Sachs does this, right? And so they then go, short on their own stock and, pay the fine, and they make, $1 bazillion off of what happened. So I can't see them not doing that. Everybody knows. It's almost like, again, like the rope-a-dope. They're going to come in. They know people are going to go long. They know they're already seeing this. So they want to play that side. I think they want to play that side. I would. If I was them, I would eat the fee, get in trouble, but I would make 20, 30, 40x off of that play because they have the finances.
That's a lot of X.
That. And, dude, well, think about it. Like, because they're going to play the future side and they're going to play the spot. And here's the thing. The future side in crypto it's not like futures in the traditional commodities market. We have a forever market in the futures. There isn't an end date to our
Right. There's no
futures.
monthly expiration. Right.
Exactly. So
Well, you can
for
manipulate
me,
the
I look
shit
at
out of
them.
that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like they don't
Yeah.
need to get out of their position. They can add up, and that's why I keep bringing up. Like that's why I keep thinking that that's what's happening, and they're gonna play. You know, I wouldn't be shocked. Like, what's the first? Here's one thing to bring up. What's the first thing that they started messing with Bitcoin? Bitcoin futures. And yes, the future side with the CME does have a expiration date, but now that you have the other exchanges within crypto, right? DeFi, or I don't want to call them DeFi, but CeFi exchanges, dude, they're straight up, and this is the part that's blowing me away. Like, they don't have a broad enough funnel to be able to receive all. So I could totally see Goldman Sachs creating their own futures DeFi system in another country, propping it up, like just like you saw in Billions when they had Taylor trade for Axe, right? Even though they weren't a part of each other. Right. That's literally what you're gonna see. I mean, I would. Why would you not? Why would you not? when you're dealing with billions of dollars that could be made. Maybe
Pedro.
I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all. But I got to wrap the show up here to go off to a couple of things I need to do at the top of the hour that I have to be on camera for also. But I do want to say, Pedro, first of all, thank you for your analysis and explanation and answering my questions about how things work in this. And as I get a better understanding it, hopefully I'll be able to ask you more deeper questions and get our audience more involved as well. We had a very late audience today because I started a half hour late. But anyway, back to what's happening next week. Next week on Tuesday, September 5th, I'm having Zach Humphreys, the live streamer that promotes a lot of projects, including quite the streamer in the SHIB environment. It's going to be on the show, talking SHIB, talking live streaming and everything that goes into the market. And we're just going to have a fun conversation. And then on September 6th, I've got this wonderful lady on here, Caitlin Long, who is going to be on the show talking about what she has learned from the point where she got rejected by the Fed till now. And I'll have the LinkedIn and YouTube events out later. So when you see them come across your feeds, please click attend, join, remind me, notify, like, and share them with your friends. But that's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I got to go. Pedro, anything before we have to roll?
Nah, thank you, everybody, for listening to my rants.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.